I'll ask Christoph to circle twice the roundabout so I can point out a few things. If you look on the right side, you see a sign that says resolution, orange. Right under, there's a museum. The Avicii Experience, sorry. We had a DJ by the name of Avicii that unfortunately ended his own life at the age of 28. So we have a museum in his honor. You can also see on the left side there's an obelisk, a fountain. This obelisk actually represents the Nordic lights, the aurora borealis, which is a phenomenon you can see up in the north of Sweden, mainly during winter time. Those curtains in light green, light blue colors, quite amazing. So now you'll see on the right side one of the 5 matchboxes, as we call them. And you can also see on the left side there's a glass building that you'll soon have to your right, which is our culture house and our city's theater. So inside this panoramic glass building, you'll find a lot of exhibitions. There's a big library, there's a cartoon library, there are refreshment stands on the roof with a nice view. And all this area around us is called Circle Square, not circle, Circle, named after a Swedish sculptor that used to have his workshop here, but everything was pulled down when we decided that it's time to build a subway system. Back in the 40s, we decided to build the subway during the Second World War, when Stockholm had only 600,000 people. Normally, when you become a million city, that it's efficient to have a subway. But we planned in advance because the city is built on islands, and we noticed that in the beginning of the 1900s, cars started to cause a lot of traffic jams. We had lesser bridges, and we knew if this will keep on going, the cars won't move anywhere. So we are trying to solve the matter by building early a subway system. On the left side, we have the most luxurious department store called NK. We like to compare it to Harrods. You'll see the main entrance now, and there's a nice brand called Hermes. Maybe you're familiar with that. And inside, if you make it back, they are quite known for the shop that sells Swedish crystals. There's a company called Oriforce. Maybe you heard of Costa Buddha. We call it Costa Fortune. But I highly recommend a visit at NK, if not for buying, just to enjoy the atmosphere. And on the right-hand side of the coach, we have the King's Garden. And the interesting thing about this garden, even the name indicates that it has to do something with the royalties. So the royal palace is on the other side of this park. And now we think that Stockholm is the capital of Sweden. But if we go back in time, until the 17th century, the capital was always where the king was. The king used to eat all his vegetables in his king's garden. It was also called the cabbage garden. And when the food was done, there was no more food in the garden. The royal family and their entourage moved to the next palace that also had a king's garden, and that became the capital of Sweden. But it might be hard to believe, but during the 17th century, more than 350 years ago, Sweden was a great power. Try to imagine that the Baltic Sea, now we're going to scare some bikers. Sorry about that, guys, but these are tough turns in the city. Thank you. So back in the 17th century, Sweden was a great power, and Stockholm was a focal point in the map. The whole Baltic Sea was like a lake within the Kingdom of Sweden. And that's when they decided that the capital will not move away anywhere. It will always be Stockholm. On the left side, a gilded cross, which is one of the 3 Catholic churches in town. And if you look now to the left, when we cross this building, you'll see a tree, and you'll get to see one of the 3 synagogues. So we saw a mosque at the beginning of the tour, a Catholic church, a synagogue. As I said, absolute freedom of religion. So now, dear guests, we're getting out of the shadow and everything will be shiny and bright. And this is a very nice part of the city because there's so many buildings I need to point out. The first building that I'll tell you about in advance will be revealed on the left side. It will have flags on the roof, and that's the Grand Hotel. It's a 5-star hotel. The first hotel in Sweden that changed sheets between the guests. That's how they got their 5th star. On the right side, you'll see a building under construction, which is the Opera House. And then if you look to the right, you'll actually see a bridge with 3 arches. And behind it, there's a building with green patina, or green copper roof and yellow facade. That's the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And now if you look to the right, you can see an island called the Holy Spirit Island, where those rectangular trees are located, and that's the House of Parliament. That's where this country is governed from, and it has an island of its own.